Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Clearly Thriving. I'm Allison Clay,
And I'm Siri Harkins.
and we are thriving.
Clearly.
Clearly. Siri, what are you drinking today?
Today I am drinking a margarita.
I'm so proud.
Yep.
I'm drinking a Dirty Shirley.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
very exciting time.
I know. Lila is begging. Hang on here. She literally is like pawing at me, and I look down, and she's just with those big eyes. So
Oh my gosh,
we have a
Lila.
special guest. Yes, and Lila, what are you drinking? You are not drinking a Dirty Shirley. I can tell you that much.
You are too young.
Yeah.
And Winston's even in the background.
Is he really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy. Yeah, well, you know how they are, just so attention deprived, especially since the writer's strike has me home every day of the week.
Yeah. This is probably the first time that we've started doing like a podcast recording that my dogs are not all up in my business. And it's because I have legitimately not spent a second of today away from them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they're somewhere on the couch.
Good. Did you take them for another walk today?
No, but we had dog agility this morning. So they both had their classes and they had a great time. And yeah, they've been pretty lazy the rest of the day, if
Oh,
we're
yeah,
being
they're
honest.
tired. What do they
Yeah.
do during the other one's class?
I bring in my bigger kennel. And so Mocha's class is first. So Panini's just in the kennel during that class. And then I have them both in the kennel during the class in between, and I take them out to potty and stuff. And then Mocha's in the kennel during Panini's class. So
Well, there you go.
yeah.
And they're fine with that. They just chill
Yeah, they just chill. Um, I mean, a lot of other people have to do the same thing where their dogs are
in
kenneled
different
in the building.
classes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
So it's fun. Panini's doing so well, actually. This is only her third week in agility class, and she's like a little champion.
She's a professional, okay? She learned from her big sister. She's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, and she gets so excited about it. So that's good.
Good. Lila
Yes.
got her flea and tick treatment this morning, and she's still kind of like oily from it. So that's
Yeah.
fun. But yes, I did order her a 3-month thing. It's like we live in LA, we don't go out a ton, so it's not a regular part of her routine. But my parents live in the middle of a national forest, so we're gonna be there for
Yes.
like basically a month and a half. And I was like, yeah, we will need some of that.
Yes. I'm so excited to come down too during, well, it'll be
I
towards the end of
know.
your time there.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, and my mom and her twin sister are going to drive me down because
I
they
haven't told my
decided,
parents that yet, but my mom's gonna be so excited.
oh my gosh. Yeah, they decided, um, you know what? I think my mom just kind of needs some things to do.
Yeah,
And so
fair.
she was kind of like, maybe Cheryl and I could drive down and then we could go to the what is the thing called? Missouri Star Quilt Shop or whatever.
Sure. I don't know.
Okay. It's like a pretty, you know what I was about to say, it's like a pretty well-known thing. And then I realized, you know what? It honestly maybe is not.
Well, I
Um,
also am not from Missouri and have now only been there, I think, 5 times in my entire life. So
I have never spent a substantial amount of time in Missouri, but I knew about Missouri Star Quilt Company.
okay, well,
But
you live with your or you're from your mother who is a big quilter, so that makes sense to me that you would know. No one
yes.
in my family really sews. No one should be surprised. This
Yeah.
is how little sewing my mother does. When I was in Girl Scouts, my dad was in charge of sewing my
The
badges on my
patch.
vest.
You know what? Hey, that's better than some girls on like one of my Girl Scout troops whose mom just hot glued them on.
Listen, I'm sure if my mom had realized that was an option, that's probably what would have happened.
Listen, it wasn't a great option.
There was one Girl Scout badge where we had to design and make a piece of clothing for ourselves. And clearly neither of my parents were going to help me, so my aunt helped me. My mom's sister is actually pretty good at sewing. This is a side story, but it's worth it. When I was a kid, like a teeny tiny child, I started talking very early, and my favorite movie was The Wizard of Oz. And I went through a phase for about a year and a half where I would introduce myself to people as Dorothy Gale from Kansas. So they'd be like, "Oh, you're such a cute little girl. What's your name?" "Dorothy Gale from Kansas." And they'd be like, "Oh, okay." So naturally, I was Dorothy for Halloween for like 6 years in a row. And so eventually, when I was a baby, my aunt would make my Halloween costumes, and eventually she just made one dress that could be let out each year. And I was Dorothy until I didn't fit in that dress anymore. And then I think when that happened, my mom was like, maybe it's time to branch out. Anyway, so when it was time for me to have my designing badge or whatever, they were like, well, we know who's in charge of this one. So my aunt got me a little sewing machine, and it was like a starter sewing machine, like meant for kids. And she helped me make a shirt, and it, looking back on it, I was very proud of it at the time, but now I'm like, what? Yeah,
Well,
but we did it. And I don't think I ever used that sewing machine again.
oh my gosh. I do have a sewing machine and I never sew. I know how to sew and I like knowing that I have a sewing machine.
Yeah. And Siri, how many
So,
times have you moved the sewing machine since the last time you used it?
well,
I know of at least 4.
no, because I used it. Remember, I made you a little bag
Oh, that's right. That's right.
because
Okay.
during pandemic era, I like decided I was going to get into sewing and I made approximately 2 items.
And I have
And
one of them. So special.
yeah, yep. And the thing is, I don't have a good system for having it set up all the time. And ADHD brain, if it's not out, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There.
yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a lot of projects I can make. I have a bunch of material to make like pajama pants and stuff. And
Ooh.
I mean, I could do that at any point in time, but yeah, it just hasn't happened. Like I was gonna make like pajama shorts or something.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, and easy, and I
You
have a
could
cute
make us
material.
you could make us matching pajama sets.
Um, you have seen the last item that I sewed. It is not very well done.
Listen, my ballet shoes are in it currently, so it's really serving its purpose. I know exactly where in
Well,
my closet
good.
it is.
It's funny because my mom made me like that style of bag one time with material with ballet shoes on it intentionally for my ballet shoes. So that's just,
Yeah,
you
well, I
know,
saw the size and I was like, perfect. Because for a while, all of my dance shoes, I had them. I haven't used them since I moved to LA, but they were just floating around in my closet, and I was like, I know what's going in here. So
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have all
Anyway,
of my dance shoes too, and I don't use them.
but you're a dance teacher. It makes more sense.
I wear tennis shoes to teach dance because I have plantar fasciitis.
Still, you're a dance teacher. It makes sense for you to have them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Anyway, that's why I don't know what the Missouri World Quilt Store is.
Missouri Star Quilt Company,
Well, where is it?
Hamilton, Missouri.
I don't know where that is.
It's not very close to your parents. It's further north in the state. Well, that makes sense because your parents are pretty far south in the state.
Yes, yes, they are. Yeah, well, good for them.
It's funny because if I was doing the drive, I would just make it in one day. And my mom was looking at the drive and she's like, oh yeah, so this will we'll have to probably stay at least 2 nights in places. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, if they want to stop at the quilt thing, then yeah, because you're looking at like an 11 or 12 hour drive. So like if you want to make like a substantial stop, then sure, I can see that.
But they'll probably want to do that on the way back so they don't have me and the dogs in the car. I don't know. I don't know. They're thinking they're gonna do a little girls' road trip.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do a girls' road trip.
Yeah. With 3 dogs and a cat.
Yes.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be something. Oh my gosh. Because why not? Why not?
Yeah.
We'll stop
I
at
mean,
Swig and
yes. I'm very excited.
me too. It'll
Freaking
be a
love
good time.
Swig.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've only been to Swig one time in Utah, but it was great.
Yeah. Well, this route will probably stop at the one in Arizona. So I think it'll be closer.
Oh my gosh, how close will we be to Roswell, New Mexico?
Ooh. We do go through New
I
Mexico.
I want to go to Roswell.
Yeah. Okay. Let me do some navigating.
It might be plausible. Oh, I guess depending on there's a city in Mexico called Chihuahua.
That sounds perfect. We should take Lila.
Yes.
Yeah, we go right through Albuquerque. I feel like Roswell's not too far.
Uh no. Okay, so Roswell would be out of the way because it's southeast from Albuquerque. Oh my gosh, Albuquerque does the hot air balloon festival.
That's true. I don't know when that is, though.
Me neither. I love hot air balloons and I've always wanted to go on one and I have never done it yet.
Well, we could
I'm
go
really-
down super far south and go through Texas, and then we would hit Roswell.
Oh, the hot air balloon festival in Albuquerque, or well, it's the International Balloon Fiesta. It's in October.
Oh, so not now.
No. I guess it depends on how motivated we are to go to Roswell with 3 dogs and a cat.
This is fair. In the middle of July.
Yes. So maybe not. Oh gosh.
You know, one day, maybe.
Sometime. Oh my goodness.
Whenever Mocha finally figures out teleportation.
She's been really slacking on her invention skills.
Yeah, I know. I gave her this assignment like 3 years ago, and we still have not even seen a prototype. So,
Yeah. She's just not with it.
apparently not.
Do,
Hey, Lila.
do, do.
Lila, my foot is asleep. Come here. Good.
Yes.
Hello,
Uh,
Frankie.
right now I am in just peak end of school year like craziness because that last couple week push until the school year is done is something. It is something. Like it's like there's something in the water because it's weather out. Well, because it's weather outside.
It is weather outside.
It is weather outside. The nice. Oh my god.
Did
The
you
nice is
immediately
weather.
think, oh, never mind. Go ahead. I won't distract you.
I just tried to say the nice is weather outside. The weather is nice outside. It is nice. I don't know. Whatever. It's nice out now for a change in this godforsaken city. Anyway, so then the kids are all like smoking crack, not literally. Well, I guess I don't
some
really
of them
know.
probably.
And if they are, I don't want to know. Yeah, everyone is Looney Tunes and who just wants to be outside or is doing something funny, and it's just peak end of school year. The teachers are just trying to pull it together. Like, I
Fair.
just, if I'm putting on clean clothes and I'm actually going to school, it's a success. We had it's just
Right.
not ideal, but this is how it goes. And I think this is probably how every end of school year is. You just got to push through it because everyone's just so excited to be done, but it's not done yet.
Yeah. Well, I don't have much experience there.
Oh,
Except
and
in
I get to
college.
drive.
I know that it's true in college.
Yeah, so like that. Except children who are not necessarily as in control of their own
Mm-hmm. Well,
whereabouts.
have you met college students? But yes. Because, yeah. Never mind. It sounded better in my head.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, you
I
get to drive.
Oh yeah, I get to drive one of the school vans on Thursday because I got van certified.
Oh,
Yeah, we're doing a little field trip. So
fun to wear.
to a swimming pool.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like a specialized field trip, so it's not like for everyone.
Hmm.
Yes. It'll be a good time. Well, I mean, we'll just have to see. I'm not worried. I think it'll be fun.
Good.
And I looked up pictures of the pool we're going to, and I was just like expecting a normal swimming pool, like indoors. But there's like a little lazy river and a little water slide and a dump bucket thing. And I'm like, what? What the heck? I didn't know this existed. Like, can we just go here?
I love a lazy river.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. So, my plan is to wear a one-piece bathing suit with a t-shirt and shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna throw so many towels in that van.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be something.
One of the hotels we used to stay at a lot when I was a kid had a little indoor water park attached to it, and it had like a dump bucket thing, but it also had a lazy river. And it was really funny because my brother would always be all about like the bucket, and then there was like this jungle gym situation, but water themed, and they had like water guns where you could like aim, and then it would just be like a low pressure stream.
Yeah.
And he was really into that. And when it was time to go, they'd be like, "Where the fuck is Alex?" And then I was always so easy to find because I'd just be chilling in the lazy river, like, peace, parents. But yeah.
Yep. That reminds me of when I worked on an episode of Stuck in the Middle. And I think we did 2 or 3 days. Like one day we were at the studio lot, and then the next day we were at a water park, like an actual water park. And there were some people that legitimately just got to like hang out in the lazy river for most of the day. And it was honestly like the perfect day to be filming at a water park. Like the weather
Good.
was ideal. Like if you were just hanging out, not in the water, it was great, but it wasn't too cold for the water.
Good.
Like it was high key, such a fun day because we were just at a water park
Chilling.
and
The
getting
only
paid
time
for it.
I ever filmed at a water park was in the middle of November. And so it
Ooh.
was not ideal, but they didn't have anyone actually get in.
Oh,
But
I was the first person that had to get in because they wanted my hair to be wet because I had it in 2 braids, and they had like a shot of us like going up the stairs to the top of a water slide. And they were like, "Oh, if you could just jump, like we need people to jump in so you're wet while you're standing, like you've been at a water park." And we're like, "Awesome, sure."
I would have cried if they had insisted on letting us down. There
Well,
was
they didn't
one
make
time
people. I did volunteer. I was like, "Yeah, that's fine."
there was one time I did a little part on Unbelievable, the Netflix thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the only scene I'm in is it's like a group of college girls. We run into a diner, pick up an order, and then run out. But it was raining outside, like actually raining on the day. So naturally, they got rain machines to make it even and then had to hose us down after we had spent like 2 hours going through hair and makeup. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think
So-
I only worked one day on Unbelievable, and it was like a birthday party scene.
Well, this was like, I don't think it was November, but it was fall. So it was not ideal, but at least it was fast.
Ugh,
And I got paid more because, yeah.
wet bump.
Well, no, not even that, because it was technically a principal role. So there's only 4 of
Hey.
us. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Oh
that
my
was
gosh,
fine.
the number
I'll
of
get wet for that.
times I would see like if PAs were coming to pick people, they would like almost make the mistake of like if they needed oh my gosh, what am I? Oh, if they needed like Omni or whatever, or
Mm.
there would be some sort of a situation where they're like, oh yeah, we need like a group of people to do XYZ. And like a PA would pull like 5 people. And then you like no one says anything because we're just like, we'll just wait. And then the second would be like, you need a 6th person so that you don't have to bump them all.
Yeah.
Like we're like, dang it, that could have been so great.
So close. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, SAG sent out the strike authorization vote.
Yes.
You probably got it because you never changed your local. But also I think it would still apply in Minnesota. I really don't know.
Well, my postcard would go to you.
Oh, it's an email, it's not a postcard.
Oh. Okay.
Like I'm sure a postcard is coming, but you can vote now.
Instantly. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
like,
you
let
can
me
find your
just
pin online. Corey and I voted while we were at Disneyland on Thursday because the email went out Thursday at 5 p.m. At 5:01, Corey had voted. I was driving, so I did not. But I voted once we got there. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that, that'll maybe get the ball rolling. I remember the last time they sent out a strike authorization, it didn't pass, but it was because everyone was like, I can't afford to not work. Well, now no one's working because the writers are already on strike. So why wouldn't we also strike? Like,
Yeah.
the only thing it can do at this point is get us more money in the long run because if we're already not working.
Ugh. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It could be really interesting.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know why people wouldn't vote to strike.
Right?
Just like,
One of my costumer friends shared a poll in her story because obviously costumers belong to IATSE and they're not up for negotiation this year. But she was like really curious, my SAG friends, are you voting yes or no? And it was only like 87% yes. And I was like, why wouldn't, what? Anyway, so I'm sure she probably only had a couple people vote in that. So it was probably only one person that voted no.
yeah.
But still, I was so confused. I was like, why wouldn't you vote yes? Like, we literally
Oh my
have nothing to
gosh.
lose right now. But I have been hearing, so one of my really good friends has a friend who is on the SAG board. So she's in with all the negotiations, and I've been getting a lot of information kind of secondhand through that. And apparently Fran is Drescher, who is now the SAG president. Apparently everyone has been like pleasantly surprised with her, which I was really nervous and I didn't vote for her because she's such good friends with Gabrielle, who like royally fucked everyone over for
Yeah.
the whole time she was president of the union. But this person thinks that maybe they kind of played up that relationship just so that Fran could win. Because Gabrielle had so many people in her pocket and an endorsement from her pretty much ensured the win. But she was like, yeah, she like pretty much doesn't agree with anything. She was like, she's actually a decent human who cares about everyone, not just the top 1%.
Aw.
So that's exciting. And one of the things she mentioned in the email about the strike authorization was insurance negotiations, which I personally didn't know that our insurance had to be approved by the AMPTP or whatever.
Yeah.
But it does make sense because it's only certain shows that qualify for it, like certain contracts, But anyway, so that was nice to see. I only need, I think, 6.5 more days.
Oh
So
my gosh. Just
fingers crossed that I can get that.
Yeah.
before September 30th. If we weren't in a strike, it would be no problem. But here we are. But I have heard from some people that if you're that close, SAG will like sometimes wiggle the qualification period. But then I've also heard from people that they won't do that. So I'm hoping that they'll announce something, because especially if we strike, you know,
Yes.
but yeah. Anyway, I don't like Gabrielle for a lot of reasons, but I really, really dislike her because one of the things she did when she was in charge of the union is during the 2020 pandemic, when the industry was shut down for 8 months, she made it harder to qualify for insurance through the union.
Yeah, that was so fucked up. Like, no one can work because
Yeah.
we're in a global
I
pandemic.
don't know.
Like,
I don't know anyone that qualified that year. That was the only year of my entire life that I did not qualify for insurance through SAG.
it just sucks.
Like,
that was just low. That was low.
yes, like so fucked up. Anyway, so hopefully, since that was mentioned in the email, hopefully Fran is aware. Because, well, you would think, because she is a cancer survivor. But anyway, yeah,
Goodness.
give the people
I
insurance.
voted.
Good job.
Yep.
Clearly, I voted yes.
Yeah. I didn't actually read the whole email. It just was like, oh, postcards will be sent to whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever.
I did think it was kind of funny that they still are sending postcards with your pin to vote. But then also, if you click the thing, it's like, find your pin here.
Yeah. And whatever. It's like, don't lose this. It's like copy paste. I'm not memorizing that.
No. It would be different if it was the same pin for each vote, but it changes every single time. It's like, why? Anyway,
yeah, so no.
So we start negotiations, I believe, June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that she's hoping to go to the table with that strike authorization being approved. So
yeah,
I hope that that works out because, you know, if she truly is like our little ear, our fly on the wall, like she says, if she truly is mindful of the 95%, then hopefully that'll wind up working out better for us.
yes.
Oh, she did just get approved though. Now Disney can't do that rate. Now they have to do the full rate. And of course that happened like 2 weeks ago when all their stuff was already shut down. But still, Disney can't get through that loophole anymore, so that's good.
Gosh, back when I like School of Rock, when that was like 108.
115. The season I did it was 115, and then that passed, and I got so many checks for like $52 to bring it up to the 172 or whatever it was supposed to be.
What?
Yeah, they had to adjust because it was predated. They went back to July 1st.
I think that must have been the year that I wasn't working it as much, that like end of that season.
Maybe.
But and then because then I got on Goldberg's, and then Goldberg's was that rate. Because that's, yeah, it was like there was a summer where the same group of people were wanted for like so many things. It was nice. That was a nice time where it was kind of like you could be like, oh, well, I'll either be working on Goldberg's or School of Rock or Kirby Buckets.
Or Speechless was going on at the same time, which even though that was hell, it was still a paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I was trying to complain about Speechless the other day to someone, and that person was like, oh, that was before I moved here. And I was like, got it. I'm old. Okay.
It's like when our friends talk about working on Glee.
Yes. Or someone like, asked me about my
Teen
experience.
Wolf?
No, I worked on the Teen Wolf stage, but it was after they wrapped, but they still had all their sets up. They asked me about working Girl Meets World, and I was like, oh, that was before I moved here. And they were like, what? I could have sworn. And I was like, no.
And I never worked Girl Meets World either, but that was like, I worked on a similar show, and it was kind of the same thing where like there was a lot of crossover between people on Girl Meets World and people on Walk the Prank. But everyone hated Walk the Prank. So that's how I started working a ton.
Yeah. I do remember when they wrapped that show and those kids all gave like sentimental speeches and we were all there like,
Yes.
they're so fucking mean to you. Why are you sad?
Yeah, they were like, this has been such an amazing experience. Like one of those children has ever been on anything else.
The girl shows up on my For You page on TikTok
All the
as
time.
of the
Yes.
last week or so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jillian Spader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What a time.
Yeah.
Nene just chirped, but I don't know where she is. That was very strange.
I really thought you were like looking for a killer. And I was like, ooh, 911 on speed dial.
No. Although I don't know. Did I tell you my theory about how I am starting to feel like this apartment may be haunted?
No.
Oh, I think just because I've never wanted to like talk about it when I'm like in the apartment, but like,
Story time. We got 8.5 minutes. Let's go.
oh my gosh. So I mean, there will be like just the little things that you can easily justify away. Like, as you can see, like none of these doors stay closed because this is an old building. All of the doors have been repainted, whatever. So most of the time they're just partially open. I had like pushed close the hall closet door, which does stay closed. And then it was like I walked past it one day, and right after I passed it, it popped open. And I'm kind of like, okay, so I mean, that's like, sure, whatever, explainable. Um, and like I occasionally feel like I like see things kind of out of the corner of my eyes, and I'm like, just ignore that. Um, and then one day I was walking like behind my couch, and I like walked through one area and it smelled like perfume. Not a perfume I have. I hadn't used any sort of scented product in the living room in a very long time. No wallflower was plugged in, and it was just in like that one area. Like, and I walked through again to be like, wait a second, that was very weird. Um, and there was another time where I like got up from my bed. It was before I came to podcast last week. And my dresser in my bedroom, I have like my jewelry box set down, and then I have like a little necklace stand, and there are necklaces on each little like rung thing. And I like put my phone down on not even the dresser. I think maybe I touched the dresser a little bit. And I caught something in the corner of my eye, and I looked. There's a single necklace swinging, just one, just one. And so, because I was kind of trying to be like, I have a fan on. I also might have just bumped the dresser a little bit, but I'm like,
Just one out of 30, probably.
yeah. And there were more on like the same rack that it was on. So I'm like, and no, none of the other necklaces were moving at all. It was just the one. And it was like, and I'm like, huh. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that and move on.
Well, you know what I'm gonna say. Ghosties.
I mean, it doesn't feel malicious
Well, that's good.
because
If
I'm
you
pretty
have
like
a ghost, it's better to have a nice one.
I'm pretty vibe sensitive, and like nothing feels negative here.
That's good.
So I don't know, maybe there was just a past tenant passing through.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's an old building, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Just very strange.
Maybe some sage just to make you feel better.
Something.
Well, all right. Have you ever, I don't know how this made me think of it. Have you ever had a lucid dream? Or sleep paralysis is what I meant.
Oh, both, yes.
You've had sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
I don't know. I guess it's not something we ever talked about.
Well, did you see stuff?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this used to happen to me quite a bit in college, actually. It was terrifying. I always felt like I would see something at the end of my bed and then I just couldn't move. It was awful.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty common. I hear about it a lot on my paranormal podcasts. Um, but a girl that I was working with on my last show, she listens to the same podcast, and there was an episode about sleep paralysis. So we were talking about it, and she was like, "Wait, you've never had that?" And I was like, "No, what?" And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's not uncommon." And I was like, "I know, but like, what?" And I was like, "What have you seen?" And she was like, "Oh, I've seen a couple different things." She was like, "I've seen just like a black figure of a man. I've seen like a
Mhm.
panther." She's like, "I've seen a full on demon like ripping its face off." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she was like, "Yeah, I don't love that one." Like, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, for me, it's usually a tall man, like usually at the end of the bed. Not a good time.
Yeah, that's apparently the most common. But out of all the options, honestly, that sounds like the best one. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but damn, I didn't know that. I, knock on wood, never have, knock on wood again.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I
No.
would not handle that well.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Cool. This is also the
Yeah.
same girl though that a few weeks ago, so she's moving out of LA, which is kind of
Mm.
sad because she won't be back for the next season of our show. Um, well, she says not, but everyone is kind of like, she's gonna come back. Anyway, but she had her going away party, and so I went with some other people from the show. And by the time we got there, she was drunk, obviously, because it was at this little bar where she knows the bartender, and so they like kind of, it was basically a private event, but not really. And we got there like an hour after it started, and she was very happy. And so she like kept coming up to us and being like, "I'm gonna miss you guys so much." And she was like, "Oh, Allison, my little Allison," because she was my mom on the show. Um, and she was like doing all this stuff, and it was really funny. But then she was like, "I just have to tell you," like at one point, she was, "I just have to tell you." And I was like, shit. Because when people say that to me when they're drunk, it usually is not a bad thing, but it usually is like a very much you're drunk thing, you know? And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh no." And she's like, "No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing." And she was like, "You just have grown so much as a person since I first met you." And it's only been like a year and a half. And she was like, "But like to see you grow from where you were when I first met you to where you are now, it's like, holy shit." And she was like, "I was even talking to insert other coworker here about it." And she was like, "He agreed with me. And like, you've grown so much and I'm so proud of you." And I was like, "Thanks." And then that night when I'm going to bed, I'm like thinking about it and I'm like, it's only been a year, nothing really has changed. And then I thought, wait a minute. The only thing that has changed is who I'm living with.
Yeah. And you know what? Who you surround yourself with really impacts you.
Especially because like right around the time I met her is when things really were getting dicey at home. So
Oh,
I was
yes.
constantly being discouraged at home, constantly having negative spits at me. And I was like, that actually makes sense. Anyway,
Because you're like, have I grown? And you're like, wait a minute, but a lot has changed. Just
yeah.
not like,
It's like, sure, I probably have grown because you go through all the shit you go through, but
yeah.
that was like the biggest change. And I was like, all right, makes sense. Drunk wisdom, what do you know?
Yes. Drunk wisdom.
But she was like,
It's a thing.
you're just so much more confident and so much more like at peace with yourself. And I was, that night I was laying in bed and I was like, well, I probably am.
Probably. You probably don't have anyone yelling at you to keep the house 85 degrees.
No, imagine how that would tear a person down. Anyway, that'll bring us to the end of this episode of Clearly Thriving. I'm Allison Clay,
And I'm Siri Harkins.
and we're thriving.
Clearly.
Clearly.